My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jacob and I are going to break down our bets for UFC 275. This is a wild card with a lot of live underdogs. The weigh-ins are over, so before I jump in the bets, let's just recap weigh-ins very, very quickly. For the most part, no issues, except the Rogerio Bontorin-Manel Cop fight is canceled. They didn't even get to the scale. Bontorin was taken to the hospital, I'm assuming, for weight-cutting issues. So that fight is off the card. We now only have 11 fights. Other than that, everything was good. Jacob, did I miss anything with the weigh-ins?
Yeah, it was actually kind of a fun weigh-ins because it was old school. They did the ceremonial with the live, with the face-offs right after, so there was a little bit of anxiety. Cooley-Bao and Choi really got into it a little bit, but everything else seemed copacetic. Glover did mention in the post-weigh-in show, he came on the show, they were talking to him, that he made weight at like noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and the weigh-ins weren't until 9 p.m. local time there. So he was on weight for about 8 hours. He said he was really run down. It was not a tough cut, but being on weight for that long, he looked tired, a little run down. They will have about an extra 12 hours than normal to rehydrate just because of the time change and stuff. They weigh in on a Friday night. They're not fighting, like Glover doesn't fight until I think like noonish on Sunday local time. So they'll have more time to recover. It shouldn't be a huge issue, but that was the only kind of red flag that rose in my mind was Glover literally said like it was a tough cut, and I'm tired and worn down, man.
Well, we're good to go, so let's jump in. Before I jump in, though, if you want $50 for free, $50 free dollars, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners and make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. That's WeWantPicks.com/bets. Any one of our partners, they'll give you their own bonus, and then on top of it, we will give you $50 as a thank you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. So, it's a weird card for me, man. It's a weird card. There were not a lot of spots that I loved betting-wise because I think so many underdogs are live, but I don't think any of them are like, oh, they messed up here, right? Like, oh, this person should be a massive favorite. So I feel like every single fighter on this card, both the favorite and the underdog, has a very clear path to victory. So betting-wise, that's a little tricky. Right out of the gate, though, I do have a moneyline bet on Glover Teixeira. We've mentioned this all week. Full disclosure, I have a personal relationship with Glover. I've known Glover for many, many, many years on a personal level. So obviously, I know the guy. I love the guy. I'm going to bet on him to win. But if I take the bias aside, I do think he can win this fight. Let's look at Prochazka, how easily he was taken down by Dominic Reyes. That's Glover's clear path to victory. On top of it, Glover has sledgehammer for hands. So he's just got to avoid the weird Jiri striking, get it to the ground. I think Glover wins this. And I can plus 170. Actually, the odds are even a little better right now than they were when I did this a few days ago. Then I have a bunch of round betting, and I'll walk you through this, and I have another slide explaining the math. I have Jacob Malkoun plus 3.5, Ramazan Emeev plus 3.5. Essentially, what that means is I am buying a round on the judge's scorecard. So if Jacob Malkoun wins one round on his own, I bought another round, my bet hits at plus 130. If Ramazan Emeev wins one round, I bought a round, I get paid at minus 200. Those are not the best odds, but that's because the bookies know Ramazan Emeev has a very good chance of winning a round. Valentina Shevchenko, I did the opposite. I sold 5.5 points. And I got minus 325. She's a minus 600 favorite. So minus 325, that's a 77% probability. And yes, 77% of the time, I feel that Valentina Shevchenko wins by a shutout decision or stoppage. And minus 325 is better odds than any of those, right? If you do Valentina Shevchenko money line, minus 600. Then you can do wins inside the distance or wins by decision, but you'll lose money if only one of those. So I thought this was a solid bet. I placed this bet. I did well last week doing this exact same thing with, who was that dominant lady grappler? Erin Blanchfield. So here's the math. Let me walk you through it very quickly. We have rounds 1, 2, 3, and over here, rounds 4 and 5. That's for the Valentina Shevchenko fight. On the left, we have judges 1, 2, and 3. Judges score. Each judge scores each round a 10 or less, right? So that totals up to, in a 29-28 decision, right? 2 rounds to one fighter, 1 round to the other fighter. We have a total score of 87-84. I bought 3.5 points. That takes the 84 up to 87.5, and then therefore I hit the bet. A full sweep, meaning a shutout unanimous is 90-81. So when you hear them announce the judges' scorecard, Judge Sal Diamato scored this wrong, 29-28. Well, that's just how he scored the entire fight. But there's 3 judges, and each one of them do each round. So when I buy 3.5 points or sell 3.5 points, or in the Shevchenko case, sell 5.5 points, this is how that math works out. So screenshot this, do what you want with this, but this is how that math works out. So I'm off my soapbox, but before I give it to Jacob, you are only going to get these buy around, sell around bets at wewantpicks.com/bets. We have 5 partners. BetOnline is the one and only partner that offers the sell around, buy some points, sell some points bets. They are the only one. wewantpicks.com/bets. Click on BetOnline. If you sign up and you make a deposit, I will send you $50 as a thank you. How about that math slide, huh?
Yeah, I've never been so confused in my life. But yeah, this is let's start off with Liang Na, the lock of the week. Feel great about it. She needs to get this fight to the ground. Obviously, if she does, she should dominate. She is a dominant, relentless type wrestler. We saw her fade after the first round. So if this gets out of the first round, there will be a little bit of wary on my end, but I think she gets it done in the first round. I put a unit at +130. This is almost actually a pick'em fight now. I think the odds moved to like a +110 on some books. So she could end up the favorite by the time this fight starts. We'll see how it goes. The next money line bet, Jack Della Maddalena. I love his striking abilities, his boxing abilities to be able to touch up Ameev in this fight. Obviously, if he starts getting takedown, that's an issue, but I think his jab is going to be way, way too much in this fight and really, really frustrate Ameev in this fight. I put 1.7 units to get a unit back on that. The Fiallo Matthews, this actually got moved to the pay-per-view. I think that actually probably helps me even more for it does not go the distance. A lot of times the crowd is more into it. The fighters get more into it. Fiallo is one of those stopping type of guys. I have Fiallo in this fight. We'll see what happens. It's a little bit of a toss-up. I feel better about Fiallo than most people. I know Angela especially is more on the Jake Matthews side. But on this one, with this bet, it doesn't matter who wins. It does not go the distance, -155. I put 2 units on it because I feel very, very good that somebody is going to get a stoppage in this fight. I think it's going to be Fiallo. The next 2 are inside the distance decisional action bets. So if this goes to a decision, either way, if my fighter wins or loses, I'm going to get my money back. If my fighter wins inside the distance, I win my bet. If they lose inside the distance, that's when I lose my money. So it hedges your bet a little bit. I got Mahashete inside the distance decisional action +160. I put 1.5 units on that because I could see him maybe getting out-wrestled the entire time by Steve Garcia. And if he loses the decision, I get those 1.5 units back. But we've seen Steve Garcia get dropped and dropped and dropped. And Mahashete is a dynamic striker. If he wins inside the distance, I win that bet. Same for Talia Santos. This actually, it's listed at +140. It's actually +400. It's the same exact odds you can get for her money line. But if Shevchenko wins a decision, which I probably think the most likely outcome is Shevchenko winning kind of a boring kickboxing decision, I'm going to get that money back. But if she wins inside the distance for a half unit, I get the same odds as the money line. So instead of playing the money line, Shevchenko wins a decision, I lose my bet. Now I get my money back, and Santos needs to win inside the distance, which I think the only way she wins this fight is inside the distance. I don't see her winning a decision for Shevchenko, and it actually kind of worries me a little bit, this fight leading up to it. Shevchenko is usually really dialed in, really stoic in the way she talks and acts. She's already talking about wanting to find Nunes or Juliana Pena. And they actually mentioned it today, how that's very unlike her. Usually she's just very focused in. I'm not worried about anything. I'm worried about the fighter in front of me. But she's already talking about, like, let me fight Juliana Pena or Nunes, whoever wins that next fight. So, we'll see what happens. I took a little bit of a flyer with Santos. Got the same odds, +400, as the money line. And I am hedged on the decision Shevchenko. I get my money back. So Joshua Kulibao, I think he wins this fight. But as Angelo mentioned, with the 3.5 round bets, I think he wins the fight. But he only needs to win 1 round on a judge's scorecard for me to win this bet. So that hedges a little bit. I think he's like a plus, maybe like a 180, something like that. It moves it to a -105, but it makes it a much, much safer bet. I think that this is going to be the fight of the night. Those were the 2 guys at the weigh-ins that were button heads. They were going at it. It should be very, very interesting. I think it goes to the decision, and Kulibao can win a decision, or can win a round in that, and I think he wins the decision. So Liang Na versus Juarez does not go the distance, -260, 2.6 units. I'll get a unit back. So basically what this is a hedge on my money line bet. If Juarez knocks out Liang Na, I basically break even on the fight. I put 2.6 units on it to win a unit back. that covers my unit bet on Liang Na. But if Liang Na, the lock of the week, wins inside the distance, which I think she will, then this is going to pay a unit. And then I got the plus 130 unit as well. So it kind of doubles the money, but hedges it on the side just in case Juarez does, for whatever reason, knock out Liang Na. And then I have my main event. If you want to switch the slides there.
No, hold on. Before we move to his next slide, his next bets, these inside the distance decision, no action bets, you're only going to get those at BetOnline as well. So WeWantPicks.com/bets. Jacob walked you through it. Those are nice insurance bets. You don't get as good of odds as Moneyline, but there's a lot of protection built into that.
And with Santos, I got literally the exact same odds as the Moneyline, which is kind of crazy. But
I actually like the Mahachete because it's possible that she gets stopped. But I like the Mahachete one more because he showed just how tough he is. And it's perfect for an underdog fighter that is stupid tough. So you know he's not going to get finished. So worst case, you'll get your money back. But on top of it, he can win by finish, so you'll hit your bet. So here is your main event. I mean, you're hedging all over the place here.
Right, yeah. So basically this comes down to, I think the fight ends inside of 2 rounds, either 2 rounds or inside the 2 rounds. So I took the most likely outcomes for both fighters in those rounds. The Glover wins by submission seems, I mean, these odds were crazy. I think they're still the same odds. So if you guys like these odds, you can jump all over them. Obviously, Glover has big power in his hands as well. And we've seen Jiri. I know he's like, people think he can't get finished. He got rocked against Dominic Reyes in that fight. I think it's more of a situation where if Glover hits him, it's not going to be a flatline KO. I hope it is. I picked Jiri, but I'm rooting for Glover all the way. I hope that he knocks like flatlines him. I think it's going to be like the Jan fight, right? Where he hurts him, then he goes to the ground with him, and then that's where he works a submission because Jiri, he actually already mentioned, like, I don't do jiu-jitsu. I just do ground or whatever he said. It's just nonsense. But so I put round 1 and 2, Glover by submission, and then Jiri. Because of the odds, I had to put a full unit because for the plus 210. Because if he wins in round 1 with the 1 unit and I get those back, it kind of covers everything else. That's I only win just a slight amount if Jiri wins in the first round by TKO. The rest, I win a little bit more. Glover, I win a lot more, but I kind of covered what I saw as the most likely outcomes on both sides, and I'm able to hedge it in a way that if any of these hit, I'm coming on top. So Jiri round 1, round 2 by KO, TKO, or Glover round 1, round 2 by submission. Obviously, if it goes past round 2, I'm out of the money, but they put the over in at 1.5 for a reason, so I feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with this. Obviously, there's a lot of ways for you to lose money, but not if the fight ends in the first or the second round. Then you're pretty covered. Obviously, Glover could win by TKO. Anything could happen. It is a fist fight, but I agree. These are the most likely outcomes in this fight, and you seem to be pretty well covered there. So, guys, let us know your bets. Let us know your picks. Do it on our free Discord. There is a link in the description. And if you want 50 free bucks, here's my sales pitch yet again. Go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. We have 5 different betting partners. They all offer their own bonuses, their own promos, their own free money. Then after you sign up and make a deposit, I will send you 50 bucks, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo on top of that as a thank you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. We'll see you for our pre-fight live stream.